Xbox controller. Playing on Xbox controller. Right trigger is guard. That's R2 on PlayStation. Right button is R1 on PlayStation. I don't know what these are on. I don't know what these are on PC. Left trigger is your slinger aim key. That's L2. Left button is like your focus and radial. That's L1. Y on Xbox. Y is triangle. B is circle. Those are your left click and right click. X is your use item command. A is your dodge command. Yeah. So on controller, most important thing for Sword and Shield is right trigger, backwards B. So you can press right trigger with either your weapon sheathed or unsheathed. Either with your weapon sheathed or unsheathed. You can press right trigger and you do not hold it down. You just press release. And I don't know if this will show well on the camera. I can press release. Oh, it's not on the game, I guess. I can press release and the character will stay in the guard position a little longer than normal. Right? You can see as I release the button that the player character stays in that guard position a little while longer. So you can use that mostly for practice purposes. There's no practical use for that when fighting. It's just for practicing the right trigger backwards B. Because then instead of it being... Then you can space out your inputs a little bit more. And it might make it easier for people to avoid guard slashing. But right trigger backwards B is the most important thing you can learn on Sword and Shield. You can use that to iframe attacks. The back step has iframes on it. Backstep has more iframes than normal. So if there's a hazard that's going to spawn in an area, like ice crystals, or there's a ground-based explosion, or something like that, or there's a monster attacking, you can press right trigger backwards B and you'll iframe through it. And after any backstep, there are many ways you can backstep. After any backstep, you can press your left click or Y key to perform leaping slash. So as you do the backstep, you spam the key until you perform leaping slash. So you spam, once you do a backstep, you spam Y until you do leaping slash, and then you stop spamming it. You stop spamming leaping slash. And then you do perfect rush. Perfect rush is a rhythm attack. Perfect rush is a rhythm attack, so if you just spam Y, you don't get these charged attacks. And if you time it correctly, you'll hear a sound effect and a visual effect. I will shut up for a second and you can listen. There's going to be a special sound effect you hear. Whereas if I fail, if I spam it, no visual effect, no audio effect. Right? Spamming it again, no visual effect. No audio effect versus... So you want to try, if the opening allows you to do so, if the timing or opening allows you to do so, you want to always charge your perfect rush, because it literally doubles the damage of the combo. Literally doubles the damage to time it correctly. And perfect rush is your bread and butter. You want to be using perfect rush as much as you possibly can. Oh, Zaya, heyo. Good evening. Welcome in. Hope you're doing well. So, most important thing you can learn on Sword and Shield is the guard backstep. And then the second most important thing is learning to perfect rush properly. You can also backstep after any dodge. So whether you dodge forwards, you can backstep. You can dodge sideways, you can backstep. And after backsteps, you can go into perfect rush. You can also perfect rush after an attack. After a non-perfect rush attack. You can perfect rush after a non-perfect rush attack. So if I just do a couple slashes, I can now backstep into perfect rush. Perfect Rush has 3 components to it. Perfect Rush has 3 hits to it, right? There's Perfect Rush 1, which is a triple hit combo. That's Perfect Rush 1. Perfect Rush 2 is the uppercut, and Perfect Rush 3, which doesn't show in the training area. Perfect Rush 3, which doesn't show in the training area, is like a grappling attack. If you want to extend the length of your Perfect Rush combo, you can roll mid combo, and as you saw me just do, as you backstep, you can angle your leaping slash. So you can continue rolling in this sort of triangle pattern, chaining together different sets of Perfect Rush. So if you have a particularly long opening, like Elatrian's Topple, or Volcana's Topple, or Fatalis' Headbreak, you can chain multiple Perfect Rush hits together. If you do Perfect Rush 3, you will be launched away from the monster, which is why you roll instead to reset the combo. When you perform the backstep, you can also sort of cancel it with Rising Slash. So you can backstep into Rising Slash, which then allows you to backstep into Rising Slash, or Leaping Slash. So you can just kind of chain these in case you end up somewhere where you don't want to be, or you realize that as you're performing your backstep, you shouldn't be going into Perfect Rush. You can also backstep off of the Leaping Slash. So you can backstep, you can Leaping Slash, and then you can backstep with the backwards B, I think. I lied, you can't backstep after that. You have to Leaping Slash into Lateral Slash and then backstep. What is Rising Slash? So as you perform a backstep, you just hold back on your control stick. So as you perform a backstep, you just hold backwards and it will not do the jumping forward. Notice how if I don't put any inputs, so immediately as I do the backstep, I just don't touch my controller. I will automatically do Advancing Slash, which jumps forward. Or if I Leaping Slash, I jump forward again. But if you don't want to jump forward, you can just hold back on your control stick, your left stick. And you'll do Rising Slash, and you can use that to kind of cancel the backstep. You can also use this to back up. Like if, let's say the training pole is the monster's head, and I end up underneath the monster's body, right? For whatever reason, I end up beneath the monster's body. I can do this, and now I can backstep and hit his head again. So there are 2 ways you can backstep. You can guard backstep, or you can roll backstep, or you can attack backstep. So those are the 3 ways. There's a 4th way you can initiate Perfect Rush. So after any backstep, you can Perfect Rush, as I mentioned before. You can Perfect Rush here. You can dodge and Perfect Rush. You can just use some basic sword attacks. You can even turn around and backstep using the Spiral Slash. If you do a sword attack and then you input a direction, you do what's called the Spiral Slash. And you can turn around 360 degrees with the Spiral Slash, and then you can use that to backstep in some other direction. And then the other way you can do Leaping Slash is through Slinger Burst. What is Spiral? So I'm just using Y or left click or triangle, and after an attack, I input a direction and an attack. So in that case, I did left and Y at the same time. So I attacked left and Y, attacked back and Y, attack right and Y. And you can do this Spiral Slash, and you can also do a thrust afterwards. So you can do Spiral Slash Slush, Thrust, Spiral Slash Thrust, Spiral Slash Thrust, Spiral Thrust. You can use this to change the direction your character is facing before performing a backstep. And then the last way you can do Perfect Rush is from Slinger Burst. So with your weapon out, your weapon must be out. You aim your slinger, and you press in your right stick. Underneath my camera, there's some controls. It says Slinger Burst Aim if I press in my right stick. And now I will perform a Slinger Burst. And if I press Y, I will do Leaping Slash. If I do forward Y, I perform Leaping Slash, which is the beginning of Perfect Rush. Anytime you sheath your weapon, you have to turn Slinger Burst mode back on. It automatically defaults, always, when you sheath, it automatically defaults to regular slinger aiming. So anytime you draw your weapon, you have to aim your slinger, press your right stick in before you can Slinger Burst. We can combine some of these things that we've just covered. So we can do backwards, we can do guard, backwards B. We can do guard, backwards B to do a backstep. But we can also guard, roll forward. We can guard, roll forward, and then backstep. So if we want to hit the training pole, I'm currently too far away from the training pole to hit it. But I can guard, roll forwards, and then perform my Leaping Slash. And now I can do my Perfect Rush. If I want to combo in place, I want to combo the training pole without moving, I can either attack, or I can guard backstep, and I will combo in place. If I need to cover a large distance, I'm going to guard, roll forward, and as the somersault completes, as the somersault finishes, I can aim my slinger as my character begins to stand up. And since I can aim my slinger, I can also toggle the slinger mode. So we can guard, roll, Slinger Burst. It looks like this. And then we can Perfect Rush. So instead of having to roll twice, we can guard, roll, Slinger Burst, jump in, and combo. And then we can roll again and combo. Stupidly awkward to do on keyboard. Well, controller is the superior race, you know? You can also do, if you don't have time to do even a Perfect Rush 1, so this is what I call Perfect Rush 1, just the first hit. That's Perfect Rush 1. If you don't have time to do Perfect Rush 1, you can just do your 2-hit combo here. That's pretty good. And just move around, or you can do your Spiral Slash if the monster turns to face it. Get your hits in, roll out. But you want to be trying to Perfect Rush as much as possible. And there are openings, like Claggers and some other openings, right? There are some openings where I don't have time to charge all 3 Perfect Rush attacks. Just like on Greatsword, you might not have the ability to charge all of your hits in a Greatsword combo. You can do a short Perfect Rush 1, short Perfect Rush 1, short Perfect Rush 2, and a full-powered Perfect Rush 3. So, Perfect Rush 1, Perfect Rush 2, and a full-powered Perfect Rush 3. If you have a little bit more time, you can do a full-power Perfect Rush 1, spam your Perfect Rush 2, and then a full-power Perfect Rush 3. So sometimes, depending on how much time you have in the opening, you can shorten some of the hits to try and get your Perfect Rush 3 out. That's the most important one. The finisher to the combo is the most important one. So it's better to shorten your first and second ones if it means you can get a third one in. The Perfect Rush 3 in. So yeah, it's Sword and Shield basics. Try and Perfect Rush every way you can. You can do so from guard backstep. You can do so from dodge backstep. You can do so from any attack into a backstep. Or you can do Slinger Burst into Leaping Slash. One last thing is when you do Leaping Slash, you don't have to Perfect Rush. You can do B or circle or right click. So you don't have to Perfect Rush straight away. So if you end up Leaping Slashing at a bad time, you can kind of cancel out of it. Fatalis head break, you can do Perfect Rush 2, Perfect Rush 2, Perfect Rush 3. So you do this. Perfect Rush 2. Roll. Perfect Rush 2. Roll. And then Perfect Rush 3. Make sure you're positioned on Fatalis' horns so that when he goes to stand up, he brings you with him, and you can Perfect Rush 3 the head as he goes to stand up. Do you never do Sheath Advance? I do. You can use Advancing Slash. You can do Advancing Slash to start your Perfect Rush. The problem with that is that this is a very, very, very minor thing. So, kind of might not be worth worrying about. But it uses up 1 hit of your Frostcraft meter, and it uses up 1 unit of Sharpness. So every time you Advancing Slash, you're wasting Sharpness on attacks that's not Perfect Rush. And every time you Advancing Slash, you're wasting Frostcraft on attacks that's not Perfect Rush. And according to Mill, it's also slow. Slinger Burst has more range, so it's faster if you're far away. Yeah, that's true. The Slinger Burst jump is really far. So typically, I will usually try not to Advancing Slash the draw attack. I'll usually try not to avoid Advancing Slash. I'd prefer to guard roll, or I'd prefer to just run up to the body part I want to hit and then guard backstep, or I prefer to Slinger Burst. Generally, if the monster's far away, you want to do the guard roll Slinger Burst. That's the best way to get in. Couple other things on Sword and Shield that are important to note. With your weapon out, if you roll and press left trigger, you do the Claw Uppercut. This is a Clutch Claw attack. Claw Uppercut inflicts tenderizing damage, so it can refresh tenderizes without you actually having to do the weapon attack. The Claw Uppercut can be used to refresh tenderizes without having to do weapon attacks. It can also clagger monsters. It's tough to aim, so if you're trying to hit a specific body part like a leg or arm, I probably wouldn't suggest it. But if you're trying to hit a monster's head during a clagger, make sure your weapon's out, roll forward, left trigger, and you can do a Claw Uppercut, and it grapples onto the monster. And because that inflicts tenderizing damage, the Claw Uppercut itself, it inflicts tenderizing damage. You can tenderize in one hit even without Shaver Decoration, but I still recommend using Shaver Decoration anyways. But it allows you to clagger. So if your team is waiting or the monster's claggering, you can guard, roll, left trigger to Claw Uppercut, and then just drop down and Perfect Rush. Every time you hear people explain this weapon, you're convinced it's OP. Well, it is top 2 for melee DPS. Sword and Shield and Greatsword are the 2 highest melee DPS weapons. Maybe Dual Blades is close on some matchups, I guess. But Sword and Shield is generally the highest DPS melee weapon, for a reason. Sponte, hello. Good evening. It's going great. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well. Try it on stream. It's funny to see someone miss the uppercut. Yeah, the uppercut is really hard to land. The uppercut is really tough to land, so you generally want to only use it on stationary or monsters who have a very predictable movement pattern. If you are trying to hit something that's moving, you're almost always better just using your regular Clutch Claw. There's a really cool thing with the Claw Uppercut, though, and it's usually useful on, like, ATV. Because the uppercut itself inflicts tenderizing damage, if you use 3 claw attacks, like to turn a monster because you got its head, that will also inflict a Tenderize. So you can see the cart's now Tenderized. So against Arc-Tempered Volcana, there's a start you can do against her where you run up to her, claw uppercut her head, spin her 3 times, and then shoot her into a wall. And you get a flinch shot on a Tenderized head, instead of having to Tenderize after or during the knockdown. But that doesn't really come up too often.